When the majority party took over in 2017, the income tax rate was 6%. We have done a lot of things in spending and on taxing to bring us here to this beautiful day today. Last time I stood up when we reduced it to 4 o'clock, I talked about daffodils blooming. There are no daffodils blooming today. It's cold outside. But it is a great day. If you look at what this majority party has done, reducing income taxes from 6% to 3%, 3.5% today. That is an average. On the average Kentucky household, according to the Federal Reserve data, the average Kentucky household, you, if you have voted for these things, have reduced taxes on the average Kentucky household by $1,549.50. $1,549.50 on the average Kentucky household. That's a lot of food. That's a lot of clothing. That's a lot of sports memorabilia. That's the ability to pay for tutors. That's what we have done. Unfortunately, until today, our friends on the other side have fought against us. I'm glad a number of them have seen the light. But you have reduced, we have reduced income taxes on the average Kentucky taxpayer over $1,500. That is a mighty good thing. I want to make two other points. The second point I want to make is it was asked yesterday by my friend from Jefferson 46, why are we doing this? We're doing it because we just reduced taxes on the average Kentucky taxpayer of over $1,500. But we're also doing it because of the 26 states that have lower than average income taxes throughout the country. 2/3 of those have had population growth. And of the 25 states, count DC, of the 25 states that have a higher than average income tax, 2/3 of those states have had a population reduction. Kentucky is a poor state. We are not going to tax our way to prosperity. We all want to support the Medicaid programs and the schools and fund all the things that we all care about. But you can't do it by overtaxing folks. We do it by growth. This is a conservative approach to a conservative goal. This is a long play, and that's the reason we're doing this, to help the individual taxpayer and to grow the pie for all of our people. And we have done that. The third point I want to make, it's not enough to reduce taxes, because if you reduce taxes and you don't reduce spending, you have done nothing but saddle debt on the future children and our grandkids. So what we have done is we have saddled our spending, controlled our spending, become the adults in the room, as my friend from the other side said. We no longer take, before we took over in 2017, they took hundreds of millions of dollars from the road fund. We no longer take any money from the road fund. It all goes to what? Roads and bridges, who'd have thunk it. We don't take that $100 million anymore. Hundreds of millions of dollars out of the road fund. If you're a professional, if you're a nurse or an architect, what the General Assembly used to do was sweep your professional fees and use it for their projects. We don't do that anymore. If you're a nurse and you put money in your licensing organization, that money is yours. The General Assembly doesn't take that anymore. We use cash for our building maintenance. Our rainy day fund, our contingency fee fund, Jennifer Todd. Our contingency fee fund is stronger than any others in the country. When we took over, it had nothing in it. The gentleman from McCracken and the gentleman from Todd led the way, and now we have the strongest contingency fee fund in the country. Why does that matter? It matters because when you have tornadoes and when you have floods, we were always going to pay for that. We'd go into debt to do it. What were we able to do now? The last couple of years in Kentucky, we could pay cash. We didn't have to borrow the future because of the contingency fee fund. What did it also do? Our bond rating was reduced a number of times before we took over. It's been increased twice since we've taken over. What does that matter? Why does that matter? Because it costs less to lay asphalt. It costs less to build your park. The park in Crestwood that we built, it costs less. It costs less to build your schools in Estill and everywhere else. It matters to the Kentucky taxpayer, acting like adults and controlling spending. We also used to push out the 12th month into the next year because the General Assembly wanted to play around with the budget. We don't do that anymore. We've caught up, and we are now on a true annual budget. So we have been very responsible in spending as well as reducing our taxes on the hard-working Kentucky taxpayer. I want to end where I began, and then I'm going to invite you to vote with us. Where I began is this. The average Kentucky household can use that $1,500, and I'm going to vote to give it to her. And I hope you join me. If you don't join me, by the way, this is already the law. All we're doing today is we're acknowledging that the law that we've set has been met. The triggers that we've set have been met. So if you vote no, you are voting to raise taxes on Kentuckians $700 million, and your voters will know about it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.